Stop aches and pains in their tracks before you even start your day with this relieving yoga for lower back pain. One block will be handy for some of the stretches in this practice. We'll start today in a tabletop position. So come to stack your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees, and really focus on spreading your fingertips wide and pushing the tops of your feet into the mat, supporting yourself here. Then as you inhale, reach the top of your head and your tailbone away from each other, like you're being stretched in two different directions. So you elongate the spine and maybe even feel more space grow between each vertebra. Gently pull the belly button in and up and notice the support that you feel here in this pose now. As you inhale, drop the belly towards the ground, shine the heart and gaze forward as you move into a cow pose. Exhale to round the spine, pushing your low back and the spot between your shoulder blades up towards the sky, cat pose. Inhale to open front side of body, moving slowly, gently waking up the spine. Exhale to round the back, push firmly into your palms. Inhale, cow pose. As you exhale this time, round the spine and start to dip your sit bones a little bit closer towards your heels so you're rocking back in space. Inhale to rock back forward, shoulders may gently flow over or past the wrists. As you exhale, round, rock back. This can really get deep into the low back here. Might even feel nice to pause. Take a few more rounds with your breath, exploring how this feels in your body. Maybe even close down your eyes. And on your next exhale, come into child's pose. Big toes come to touch, knees spread wide to the edges of your mat. Sit bones dip towards your heels as you stretch your fingertips towards the front of the mat. Focus on elongating your spine. Option to place a block underneath your chest or forehead if they float off the ground. And melt your heart towards the mat as your hips grow heavy. Deepen your breath here. Sending each inhale down to your low back. Imagine like blooms were growing on each side of your spine. Inflating, creating space. And each exhale, you release, resting into that space. Push firmly into your palms. Use that pressure to help pull you all the way back up through a tabletop. And then drop down onto your elbows and walk your legs long behind you, dipping the front of your hips towards the mat into Sphinx pose. Shoulders or elbows can be underneath your shoulders, but if there's too much pinching or pain in the low back here, gently edge your elbows a little bit farther forward. They do not have to be perfectly stacked. Push firmly into your palms and forearms, fingertips spread wide, and then gently pull back so the heart opens towards the front of the mat. Release any tension in the low back by rocking the hips softly from side to side. And if it feels better to do so, you can keep your feet and legs hip-width distance or walk them a little bit wider towards the back corners of your mat. Give yourself a few breaths here to loosen into the low back. Releasing any holding or tension in the glutes by releasing the bum cheeks. And let your lower ribs in front of your hips dip even closer to the mat, pressing into the ground. Walk your elbows wide and stack your palms. Releasing your chest and forehead down to the mat and the backs of your hands. Option to rest here or guide your heels in towards your bum and allow your legs to fall from side to side in a windshield wiper-like motion as a little release. And lengthen your legs long. And draw your hands underneath your shoulders, elbows in tight towards your ribs. Push firmly into the tops of your feet, so much so that your knees lift off the mat, so your legs are fully engaged here. Tops of feet in front of hips, push into the ground as you inhale, start to peel your chest off the ground, baby cobra. Lighten your hands, reach the top of your head forward. As you exhale, slowly lower front side of body all the way back down to the mat. Trying to create a little bit more spaciousness between each vertebra. The spine's a little bit longer. Activate the legs, push into tops of feet. Inhale, baby cobra again. Maybe this time you see if you can lift yourself a little bit longer and then higher. This is helping to strengthen the low back. Hold it here. A lot of pain can come because the low back isn't strong enough. And doing this simple exercise every morning can really help to alleviate that. Exhale to release. Once more, legs activate, shoulder blades kiss together as you lift your chest off the mat. This time, float your hands off the ground as well. Really see all the strength your low back is building here, and you're not using your hands at all. Pull the shoulder blades a little bit closer together. Lift, lift, lift. Exhale to release. Come to stack your hands, elbows wide once more. Rest here. Breathe into your low back. Each inhale, the balloons inflate. Each exhale, you rest in the space you create. Draw your hands back underneath your shoulders. Push yourself up through a tabletop position. Tuck your toes and find downward facing dog. Keep your knees generously bent here. Quite often we want to lengthen the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, and try to press the heels towards the ground. But in downward dog, you really want to prioritize lengthening the spine. To do so, you bend the knees. Maybe you bend one and then the other, moving the hips a little bit. And then coming to stillness, fingertips spread wide, melt your heart towards your thighs, but keep your ears in line with your biceps. Reach the top of your head and tailbone away from each other, like your ribs are trying to reach away from your hip bones. Take another deep breath here. And exhale, release the knees back to the mat, swinging the legs to one side, hips to another, so you can come to sit down on your bum. Legs lengthen in front of you. Draw the sole of your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. And then open your hips slightly so you're facing a little bit more towards the left edge of your mat instead of directly forward. Start to walk the fingertips of your right hand down the inside of your right leg. And then reach your left arm up and over like you're creating a giant rainbow shape and side bend over the right leg. You have the option here to place a block underneath your right elbow and then use your right palm to prop your head up. Almost like you're being a little bit lazy in this pose, but it can be really comfortable and allow you to breathe space into the left-hand side of torso. And if the left arm is tired or this doesn't feel comfortable, you can drape your forearm behind your low back and mindfully tug your left shoulder back in space. Final inhale. Full exhale. If you're using the block under your right elbow, release it now, then send your gaze towards your right knee or leg and start to twist your body towards your right leg, fold over your thigh. I like to cross my wrists here and drape my palms to opposite sides of my shin. Or you may prefer to keep your hands on opposite sides of your legs. Whatever you do, keep your elbows soft. So the point here is not to pull yourself forward and to really lengthen the spine, but allowing yourself to round. Then it might feel nice to rock gently from side to side here. This will really get deep into the left-hand side of low back. This is something that I like to do in my yoga practice at any time of the day, as this area specifically can hold a lot of tension and usually needs a bit of time and a few rounds of breath. When you find a good spot, come into stillness. Breathe here. Release your hands into the mat and gently walk yourself back upright, squaring your hips so that you face the front of the mat again. Cross or step your right foot to the outside of your left thigh. You have the option to keep your left leg long here, or you can bend into your left knee, drawing your left heel towards your right bum cheek. So your legs are crossed, but the right sole of your foot is on the ground. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky. As you exhale, twist towards your right thigh. So left arm either comes to hug your right shin and thigh, or you can choose to hook your left elbow to the outside of right thigh into a twist. Right hand lands behind you. Use the pressure of the palm or fingertips to help lift you up, elongate the spine. As you exhale, maybe you find a little bit more depth into the twist here. Each inhale is to lengthen. Each exhale is to twist. On your next exhale, slowly release from the twist. Both legs long, uncross. This time drawing right sole of foot to the inside of left thigh. Opening the hips just a little bit, and then walking left fingertips down the inside of your leg. Option for a block under your left elbow as right arm sweeps up and over. Breathe space between each rib on the right hand side of your torso. Like you're trying to lift your ribs up and away from your right hip crease. Your fingertips reach, create an extra long line, or drape right forearm behind your low back. Let your heart shine to the sky, keeping the chest open. And on your next exhale, send your gaze, your heart towards left leg. Fold over this leg. Allow the spine to round. Maybe you find yourself drifting from side to side here, trying to find the juiciest spot, the deepest stretch you can find for your right low back. And if you haven't come to stillness yet, do so now. Letting your breath do the heavy lifting of creating space so you can settle into stillness, ease. Slowly unravel using your palms to help you walk back upright. Come to face the top of your mat once again, hips square. This time, left foot steps to the outside of right thigh. Right leg can stay long or draw the heel towards your left sit bone. And use your right hand to hug your left leg or hook the elbow to the outside of left thigh to help you into the twist. Don't think of this as so forceful and trying to get as deep as possible, but use this as like a slight assistance in momentum to help you into the twist. Your body knows as far as it wants to go. Forcing can cause injuries, which we especially don't want in the low back. It's better to take deeper breaths and move slowly, to pause, to hold, to check in. Take a full breath in. As you fully exhale out, release from the twist. Start to lower yourself down onto your elbows, coming to rest all the way down on your back, grabbing a block on the way. Soles of feet on the mat. Lift your hips up towards the sky as you slide a block or two underneath your sacrum. The upper cushy part of your bum, lowest part of your spine, as support here. Sometimes it's nice to place 2 blocks side by side. Really give yourself a lot of support into the low back. And you can choose to stay here in supported bridge with the soles of your feet on the ground. You may wish to walk your legs out long. This will add intensity to the back bend in the low back. If this pinches or doesn't feel great, return soles of feet to the mat. And your palms can either come to rest on your belly, arms out wide, palms facing up to the sky. You can stay here for as long as you'd like, or if you'd like to close off your class with Shavasana, bring the soles of your feet back to the mat, relift your hips to the sky, slide the blocks out from under you, and slowly lower spine all the way back to the mat. Take a breath or two here to allow the spine to realign. And hug your knees in towards your chest. Curl your forehead towards your knees. Take a deep inhale like you're sucking in every last little bit of breath. And exhale, fully expand into your final relaxation pose, Shavasana. If there's any remaining tenderness in the low back, you can bring blocks underneath the backs of your knees. Or if even that doesn't feel great, come into constructive rest, soles of feet on the mat, about as wide as the mat, and knees not getting towards each other. Take whatever variation works for you today so you can rest as peacefully as possible here. Integrating the spaciousness that you just created before you take off for your day. Gently begin to wiggle your fingertips and your toes, sending sparks of energy back into the body as you roll out wrists and ankles. And take a full inhale as you reach your toes and fingertips away from each other like you're just waking up for the day. As you exhale, sigh it out. Draw your knees in towards your chest, one and then the other. And roll over to your right hand side into a fetal position. Whenever you're ready, push yourself up. We'll meet in a comfortable seat. Draw your hands to prayer at your heart center and bow your head so your third eye meets your fingertips. Thank yourself for showing up on the mat today, for doing this act of self-love for your mind, body, and your soul. Bring your head back up. May you feel kind words. May you speak kind words. May you think kind words. Together, we bow forward and say thank you.
Do you wish that you could deepen your yoga practice without paying thousands for yoga teacher training? You can. Learn how to cultivate your self-awareness so you can become the advanced yogi you dream of being without the handstands or the arm balances. Join Journey Home and feel yourself evolve on and off of the mat. Your yoga adventure is calling. Start today.